Space isn't silent. It's just waiting for someone brave, or dumb, enough to listen. And humanity finally did. It started with a pulse. A single, impossible heartbeat echoing from 9 billion light-years away. It wasn't a star, it wasn't a black hole, and it wasn't any kind of cosmic freak accident. It was organized. Deliberate. A perfect rhythm, like someone out there was tapping their fingers against the walls of the universe, trying to get our attention. Every observatory on Earth freaked out. Satellites glitched. AI models went feral. Even the Deep Space Telescope started acting like they were being watched. The pulse synced with human brainwaves, causing visions, millions of people dreaming the exact same dream of a star that looked alive. Breathing. A star with a message encoded directly into the light. Most people ignored it. Some panicked. But a small crew. They felt called. The Aurora 7, humanity's most advanced exploration vessel, launched with one mission: track the impossible star and uncover whatever was speaking through it. But the closer they got, the weirder things became. Time started bending around them. The ship recorded voices no one said. Crew members dreamt of futures that hadn't happened yet, or maybe had already happened. When they finally reached the star, the truth shattered everything. This wasn't a star at all. It was the last remnant of an extinct cosmic species, a dying consciousness trying to pass on its final warning before the universe resets itself. And the Aurora 7 crew? They're the only ones who can decode the message, if they survive what's coming next. Space was supposed to be silent, a cold, endless stretch of nothingness. But on the night the universe finally spoke, everything humanity thought it understood shattered like fragile glass. It started with a blip, a flicker, a whisper slipping through the static of deep space radio noise. At first, no one took it seriously. Signals glitch all the time. Pulsars misfire. Stars die screaming. But this was different. It didn't fade. It didn't distort. It responded. The discovery wasn't made in a glossy NASA control room or a futuristic orbital lab. It happened in a forgotten hillside observatory, half-funded, half-abandoned, and barely holding itself together. There, Dr. Ilara Vance, a brilliant astrophysicist with insomnia, a heavy coffee addiction, and a talent for noticing things others missed, was working alone on a routine frequency sweep. She leaned back in her chair, rubbing tired eyes, waiting for the computer to finish yet another cycle. She wasn't expecting a miracle. She wasn't expecting anything. But then the monitor flashed. Unidentified signal detected. Her heartbeat stalled. The waveform appeared on screen, structured, rhythmic, too perfectly timed to be natural. She stared, unsure if exhaustion was playing tricks on her. But then her heart flipped as the pattern repeated, this time clearer, sharper. A sequence of pulses. Long, short, short, long. Repeating with machine-like precision. Her first thought, this is impossible. Her second, I need witnesses. But the observatory was empty. Midnight had swallowed the world outside, leaving only the hum of electronics and the cold breath of mountain wind sliding under the door. She leaned closer, fingers hovering above the keyboard, afraid to touch anything that might break the fragile thread between her and the unknown. She ran verification. Then a second one. Then a third. Every scan shouted the same truth, this wasn't a star. It was intentional. Ilara's hands shook as she logged the data. The pulses weren't random, they followed a strict mathematical sequence. Prime numbers. A universal language. The kind used in every theoretical model for contacting other intelligent species. If someone, or something, wanted to be found, this was the way. She swallowed hard, adrenaline burning her nerves awake. The air felt heavier, as if the universe itself leaned in to watch her reaction. She saved the files, duplicated them, and backed them up on every device she had. Not because she feared corruption, but because she feared disbelief. People would call her delusional. A glitch hunter. A fame chaser. She needed evidence no one could erase. As the signal repeated for the 7th time, she noticed something even stranger, a small drop in frequency, like a breath. A pause. A moment of waiting. It knows we're listening, she thought. The idea should have terrified her, but instead it sparked something deep in her chest, a fire she hadn't felt in years. Curiosity. Purpose. Destiny. She tapped the intercom, her voice cracking as she whispered, "If anyone can hear this, get in here. Now." No one answered. She was alone with the message. Elara replayed the pulses over and over until the sequence felt like a heartbeat in her skull. She scribbled interpretations on scraps of paper, filling the desk with frantic notes. Prime numbers, repeating triplets, but then, at the end, something new, a modulation spike. A signature. A calling card. A location. Her breath hitched as she triangulated the signal's origin. It wasn't coming from within the solar system. Not from nearby stars. Not even from the familiar regions of the Milky Way. It came from the dark stretch between galaxies, from a place no human telescope had ever mapped, a place cosmologists assumed was empty. But it wasn't empty. Something was out there. When she finally leaned back, exhaustion forgotten, she understood the weight of what she'd found. The discovery wouldn't just rewrite astronomy textbooks. It would rewrite humanity. This wasn't just a message. It was an invitation. And someone would have to go. For the first time in her life, Dr. Elara Vance whispered into the quiet observatory, "We're not alone, and they want us to come find them." The universe had spoken. Humanity had heard it. The universe doesn't wait for permission, and neither did the mission. Once Dr. Elara Vance's discovery hit the global networks, chaos erupted everywhere, headlines screaming, governments scrambling, philosophers freaking out, conspiracy theorists losing their minds. But beneath all the noise, one truth cut through: humanity had been called, and someone had to answer. That responsibility fell on the crew of the starship Astraeus, humanity's first ever deep void vessel capable of leaving the Milky Way's comfort zone. The day of departure felt unreal. The launch site was hidden in a desert that stretched forever, a place where the sky touched the dust and the wind carried silence like a warning. Elara stood with her gear slung over her shoulder, staring at Astraeus perched on its magnetic cradle. Sleek, silver, sharp, almost predatory. Built by the smartest minds alive, but somehow still looking too small to challenge the universe. The crew gathered around her. Commander Rian Holt, the steady hand. Dr. Sarah Monroe, biologist with a heart too soft for space. Jace Rourke, engineer, sarcasm specialist, professional chaos generator. And Elara, the one who started it all. No speeches. No dramatic countdown montage. Just quiet determination and the buzzing tension of a crew who knew they were crossing a line humanity was never supposed to cross. As they boarded Astraeus, Elara pressed her palm to the cold metal of the entry hatch. The ship hummed beneath her touch, alive with power, ready to tear through the cosmic dark. She whispered, "Take us there," like she was asking the ship itself for permission. Inside, the cabin lights flickered on. Consoles glowed. The engines purred low, waiting for ignition. Commander Holt strapped in and spoke through the comm. Elara sat at the data console, eyes locked on the coordinates she triangulated from the signal. The star system wasn't in any chart. It didn't even have a name. Just a set of numbers, a location hanging in the black space between galaxies. Astraeus lifted. The ground fell away. The desert shrank. The sky cracked open with roaring fire as they punched through the atmosphere. In minutes, Earth became a fading orb behind them, blue, fragile, unaware that a handful of humans were carrying all its hope straight into the unknown. Once they reached the exosphere, the shift hit hard. Calm. Weightlessness. Silence so deep it felt like pressure. Commander Holt gave the order, initiate slipstream jump. Elara braced herself. The ship's core flared, bending space like a sheet of metal being twisted by invisible hands. The stars smeared into bright white streaks. Space folded in on itself. And Astraeus jumped. For a moment, reality felt unstable, like they were falling through a dream they couldn't wake from. Then the distortion snapped away, leaving them drifting in a part of space no human eyes had ever seen. A black ocean. Cold. Empty. Infinite. Except, not completely. As they adjusted their trajectory, the faint pulse of the alien signal appeared on Elara's monitor, calling them forward like a distant lighthouse. She exhaled shakily. It's still transmitting, she whispered, half in awe, half in disbelief. The journey stretched on. Days blurred. Sleep became a suggestion, not a rule. Some nights, Elara would stare out the window into the void, feeling its weight settle on her chest. The universe wasn't peaceful, it was ancient, patient, watching them. Inside the ship, the atmosphere shifted from excitement to quiet dread. Traveling toward a message sent by something. As they neared the coordinates, the sensors began picking up anomalies. Strange gravitational ripples. Energy fluctuations that didn't match any known cosmological model. Space was behaving wrong. Like they were approaching the edge of a secret. Jace muttered, "Yeah, this is giving major we should turn around vibes." But they didn't turn around. They kept going. Because the closer Astraeus drifted to the signal's origin, the stranger the universe became. Space wasn't acting like space anymore, it twisted subtly, like a sheet tugged from different directions. Colors shimmered where there should have been pure black. Starlight bent at impossible angles, warping into spirals that looked almost intentional. Like someone had carved patterns directly into the cosmos. Elara stared at her monitors, watching the data contort into shapes that made no scientific sense. "This isn't natural," she whispered, heart thumping. "Space doesn't behave like this unless something is rewriting it." "Rewriting space?" Jace echoed. "Cool, so we're heading toward a cosmic hacker." "Nice." Commander Holt ignored the sarcasm. "Are we in danger?" "Honestly?" Elara exhaled. "We're past danger. We're in discovery." The signal grew stronger, each pulse vibrating through the ship's hull like a distant heartbeat. The crew felt it too, not just hearing it, but sensing it. Like the universe was humming through their bones. They weren't just following a beacon. They were being guided. Hours into the final approach, the stars around them shifted again, this time dramatically. Instead of scattered dots across an empty void, they arranged themselves into loose geometric alignments. Lines. Curves. Patterns no random distribution should ever form. Sarah leaned toward the window. "Guys, those stars don't look right." Rian narrowed his eyes. "Defined, not right." "They're positioned," she said. "Placed. Like constellations drawn by someone who didn't care about physics." Elara's pulse quickened. "No. They're not constellations. They're symbols. Jace blinked. Symbols of what? A cosmic meme? No, Elara said softly, voice trembling. They're mathematical glyphs. Ratios, spirals, symmetry codes. Someone rearranged. Silence hit the cabin, not peaceful silence, but the kind that makes your skin prickle. The kind that tells you you're standing in front of something way bigger than yourself. Sarah whispered, who could even do that? Elara swallowed hard. Not a civilization. Not even a super-advanced species. This level of manipulation, it's on a scale beyond biology. This is something that thinks in star systems, not seconds. Something that uses gravity the way we use pencils. The crew exchanged uneasy glances. Hold up, Jace said, rubbing his temple. Are you saying the message came from whoever rearranged the stars? Like the stars themselves are part of the signal? Yes. Elara tapped the glass, tracing the star pattern with her finger. This is intentional architecture. Someone built meaning into the sky. Holt's voice dropped low. Then the question is, what does the meaning say? Before Elara could answer, the ship's scanners flared an alert. A massive energy distortion emerged ahead, not a nebula, not a wormhole, but something new. A structure made of pure light, shaped like a spiral that slowly shifted orientation as if it were scanning them back. A gateway, Sarah breathed. But Elara shook her head. Not a gateway. An identity. She zoomed in on the structure, her voice trembling as she decoded the pattern. It's a signature. A name. A representation of whatever intelligence built this star network. So what do we call them? Jace asked. Elara stared at the screen in awe. They call themselves the Luminary Construct. The words hit with the weight of a revelation. Something ancient, something almost divine in scale, had crafted this entire region of space like a message carved into cosmic stone. Holt folded his arms. Why send a beacon to us? Elara took a slow breath. Because they detected us. Or watched us. Or predicted we'd eventually start looking outward. The moment humanity responded how? Sarah asked. Elara's voice steadied. They introduced themselves. The energy spiral shifted again, releasing a burst of coded radiation that washed over Astraeus. Lights flickered. The ship hummed, almost shivered, like a living thing feeling a presence pass through it. Then the message resolved. Not in sound. Not in words. But in understanding. Every crew member felt it differently, a whisper, a memory, a sudden realization drifting into consciousness like a dream you didn't know was yours. Elara gasped, gripping the console. They're not just signaling us. They're showing us who they are. What did you see? Holt pressed. A history, she said shakily. Not in images, in concepts. Their identity isn't physical. They exist across stars, inside gravity fields, within the fabric of spacetime. They're a collective mind made of stellar energy. So they're alive? Sarah murmured. Alive in a way we don't have words for. A long silence followed, heavy and electric. Then Elara said the line none of them were ready to hear. They'd been watching civilizations rise and fall for billions of years, and now they're inviting us to join them. Jace sank into his seat. Bro, the stars just asked us to hang out. Sarah swallowed. Or evolve. Rian clenched the armrest. Or disappear. A gentle pulse rolled across the ship, steady, patient, waiting. The identity of the stars had been revealed. The spiral of light ahead of Astraeus pulsed again, steady and slow, like a cosmic heartbeat echoing through the void. The crew hovered in silence, each trying to process the impossible reality in front of them. A being, or a collective, made of stellar forces had just introduced itself. Not through language. Not through symbols. But by reshaping the stars themselves. Elara tried to breathe, but her lungs felt tight. Understanding the message was one thing, accepting what came with it was another. "Run the last pulse through the neural decoder," she whispered. Jace blinked. "Neural decoder? Elara, that thing is barely tested. It's the only tech we have designed to translate conceptual messages," she shot back. "Unless you can read gravitational thought forms now." Jace slumped. "Do I look like a quantum psychic?" Sarah pressed her palms against the console. "Just do it. We need clarity." Holt nodded, jaw tight. "No risks, only necessity." Jace breathed out dramatically, muttering something about dying in a cosmic hallucination machine, but he linked the signal to the decoder anyway. The ship dimmed. The air vibrated. Lights flickered across the bridge like a storm running through the circuits. Then the pulse played. It wasn't sound. It wasn't vision. It was experience. The crew felt it simultaneously, a rush of concepts flooding their minds, threading behind their thoughts like someone gently lifting the corner of their consciousness. Elara gasped first. She found herself standing in a place she couldn't name. A space beyond substance, where colors existed that no human eyes had ever evolved to see. Threads of light stretched infinitely, weaving into star clusters, galaxies, nebulae. And flowing through them, a presence. Not a god. Not a creature. They weren't a species. They weren't born, and they didn't die. They were the natural evolution of stars that refused to fade. When ancient suns collapsed, their energy didn't vanish. It gathered. Connected. Became self-aware in a way physics had never predicted. A star wasn't just a ball of burning gas. It was a node. A neuron in a galactic-scale mind. And over billions of years, those stellar neurons wove themselves into a consciousness that observed the universe from the inside out. A cosmic intelligence built not from biology, but from light. Elara's eyes widened as the message pushed deeper. The construct had watched galaxies form. Watched civilizations rise, burn, vanish. Watched countless species look up at their skies and wonder the same question humanity was now whispering. Are we alone? But then, the message shifted, tone sharpening, becoming darker. Elara saw flashes of planets consumed by their own creations. Civilizations that discovered energy manipulation before ethics. Beings that unlocked power greater than their wisdom. Species that flew too close to the truth the Luminary Construct guarded. Holt, gripping his seat, saw something different. He felt the cold weight of a warning, a voice saying, "Not all truths are safe. Not all species mature fast enough to survive knowledge." Jace saw a vision of machines tearing apart a star for fuel. Sarah saw a planet shattering under a failed quantum experiment. Each image burned into their minds like cautions carved into memory. The cosmic truth was clear. The universe protects itself. And sometimes it protects itself from those who evolve too quickly. The message softened again, shifting tone. It wasn't threatening humanity. It wasn't judging them. The construct was curious. Humanity was young, reckless, loud, but undeniably alive in ways other species weren't. They created art, destruction, hope, chaos. The construct found that fascinating. Elara felt the meaning settle in her chest. They contacted us because humanity is unpredictable, she whispered. We don't follow the rules other civilizations did. Holt frowned. Is that good or bad? Both, she said softly. It means we have potential. Or we're a threat. Another pulse rolled across Astraeus, calmer this time, almost gentle. Sarah leaned forward. Wait. They're not just showing us the universe, they're showing us our place in it. Elara nodded slowly. The cosmic truth is, we're not insignificant. We're not random. Humanity is a new variable in an ancient equation. Jace blinked. Are we seriously getting recruited by space gods? But the truth was more complicated. The construct wasn't inviting humanity into a higher existence. Not yet. They were evaluating. Observing. Testing. And the journey of Astraeus was part of that test. Elara's voice cracked as the next segment of the message unfolded, harsher and colder. They're showing us something else. The vision darkened. A distant future. A potential one. A version of humanity that expanded too fast, consuming resources, bending physics, reaching for power that wasn't meant for biological minds. Humanity becoming the very force the construct had extinguished in the past. Holt clenched his fists. So they're warning us. No, Elara said, voice trembling. They're asking us a question. A final pulse hit the ship, slow, deliberate, heavy with meaning. It wasn't a sentence. It wasn't a demand. It was a decision. What will humanity become? Would they rise into a collaborative cosmic intelligence, adding their creativity to the galaxy's growth? Or would they become another civilization the construct would eventually correct? The vision dissolved. The crew snapped back into reality, gasping, sweating, trembling. The bridge felt heavier, like the gravity had doubled. Holt steadied his. She wiped her eyes. Everything they are, and everything we could be. The good, the bad, the terrifying. Sarah whispered, so what do they want from us now? Elara stared out the window at the spiraling light. To answer them. Jace frowned. Answer, how? With words? Math? Dance? No, Elara said. With our actions. With our choices from this point on. Holt stood, shoulders squared. We keep moving. The spiral of light fluttered once, almost like approval. Elara exhaled slowly. The cosmic truth wasn't a revelation. It was responsibility. A mirror held up to the entire human species. Humanity wasn't alone. Humanity wasn't insignificant. Humanity wasn't unobserved. The universe was watching. Judging. Waiting. And Astraeus was now. Conflict doesn't start with shouting. It starts with silence, the kind that cracks under pressure like thin ice. After witnessing the cosmic truth, the crew of Astraeus didn't speak for almost an hour. Each of them sat in their corner of the ship, processing visions that had rewritten the shape of their thoughts. But silence can only stretch so far. Eventually, it snaps. It started with Holt. He stood in the center of the bridge, jaw tight, muscles coiled like he'd been holding his breath since the message. We need to turn back, he said flatly. Immediately. Jace looked up, baffled. Turn back. Bro, the universe just introduced itself to us. You want to ghost a cosmic intelligence? Sarah shook her head. We're already in deeper than return distance. Even if we turn around, the construct knows who we are now. Holt's voice sharpened. We're not prepared for this. Humanity isn't prepared. What we saw wasn't an invitation, it was a warning. Elara finally spoke, voice quiet but firm. Warnings aren't threats. They're boundaries. They're giving us a chance to understand. And what if understanding kills us? Holt countered. We don't know how they react to species that step out of line. You saw those visions. Ilara's gaze burned. We also saw hope. Evolution. Possibility. That's not worth risking extinction. Jace leaned back, arms crossed. Hate to break it to you, Commander, but the extinction risk already exists. If they wanted to erase us, we'd be cosmic dust already. Holt didn't answer. His silence said he knew Jace was right, and that scared him more. Sarah's voice trembled as she spoke. The construct showed us futures where we destroy ourselves. Not because they hate us, but because they understand how civilizations fall. That's exactly why we should leave, Holt said. Humans are emotional, reckless. Look at us right now, Ilara stepped forward. We're fighting because the truth is big. Bigger than anything we've ever faced. But running won't fix that. If we turn back now, we're admitting humanity can't handle the universe. Holt stared at her. Maybe we can't. That hit Ilara harder than any alien revelation. The team split quietly after that, physically and mentally. The bridge lights reflected their conflict like fractured starlight. Jace and Ilara sat on one side, arguing for discovery. Sarah sat somewhere in the middle, torn between fear and curiosity. Holt stood alone, convinced the mission had already crossed a fatal line. The ship felt colder. The air heavier. Even the stars outside seemed to lean in, watching the crew unravel. Jace finally broke the tension with a sigh. Look, Commander. You're scared. We all are. But fear can't be the captain of this ship. I'm not acting out of fear, Holt snapped. I'm acting out of responsibility. To who? Ilara pressed. Because right now, the only thing you're protecting is the world you already know. That world is my home. Ilara's voice softened. It won't stay the same even if we go back. Not after this. The universe changed us the moment we heard that signal. Holt turned away, hands trembling slightly. I didn't sign up to choose the fate of our species. You already are, Ilara whispered. Every choice we make out here echoes across humanity. Sarah stood suddenly, eyes glassy. Stop. Both of you. The construct is watching us. Can't you feel it? Not spying, observing. They're learning about humanity through us. And all we've shown them so far is panic. The truth of that hung in the air. They weren't just astronauts. They weren't just explorers. They were representatives of an entire. A pulse of light flickered through the window, as if the stars themselves responded to the conflict inside the ship. A reminder, the universe didn't care about their arguments, only their decisions. Ilara took a deep breath. We keep going. Not recklessly. Not blindly. But with intention. With clarity. Holt finally turned back, eyes dark, conflicted. And if moving forward means we trigger something we can't reverse? Ilara held his gaze. Then at least we face it together. Jace raised a hand. Yeah, and worst case, we get vaporized by celestial superbrains. Honestly? Kinda iconic. Sarah exhaled, a weak laugh breaking through the tension. Holt looked at each of them. The fear didn't leave his eyes, but something shifted. Acceptance. Maybe trust. Maybe surrender. Maybe both. He nodded once. Fine. We move forward. But we do it cautiously. Ilara stepped closer, relieved but steady. Caution is enough. Forward is necessary. The conflict didn't end. It evolved. But the crew, fractured, scared, imperfect. The universe didn't roar at the crew as they approached the edge of their final decision. It just waited. Quiet, patient, like a cosmic judge who already knew the verdict but wanted them to say it out loud. The ship drifted toward the shimmering threshold, a boundary where physical laws loosened and consciousness felt like it could slip free from the body with a single exhale. Inside the ship, the atmosphere was unreal, half grief, half awe. Everyone moved slowly, as if afraid any sudden motion might shatter the fragile balance they'd built between hope and fear. They had crossed stars, decoded ancient civilizations, stared into the DNA of existence itself, and now all that was left was a choice. Not a mission. Not a protocol. Just a choice that cut right through their souls. Astra stood at the viewport, hands trembling even though she was trying to hide it. The cosmic horizon rippled like a living veil, calling to her, whispering the same thing it had whispered since the moment she first felt the universe notice her: you are more. She felt it in her bones, in her breath, like the stars weren't outside her anymore, like they were waiting for her to come home. Cade watched her quietly. He wasn't angry. He wasn't begging her to stay. He just looked, heartbroken. But also proud. Their bond had survived black holes, illusions, ancient ruins, and near-death choices. But nothing prepared him for the idea of losing her to something bigger than humanity, something he couldn't compete with or follow. His future was rooted in the human world. Hers was stretching into the cosmic unknown. Astra finally turned. Cade, she whispered, voice shaking, I love this crew. I love what we've done. But I can feel it. This is where I'm meant to go. She paused, swallowing hard. Cade stepped closer, stopping just inches from her. I know, he said softly. And I hate it. But I'm not gonna cage you. The universe chose you, and maybe we were always heading here. The crew gathered around, offering farewells that sounded too small for what they were feeling. No one cried loudly. It was more like silent waves of emotion rolling through the ship, heavy, warm, and impossible to hide. Astra walked toward the threshold chamber, her figure glowing faintly as if the cosmos was already syncing with her heartbeat. She looked back one last time. Not with regret, but with love. Then she stepped forward. Light engulfed her. And she was gone, ascended, expanded, absorbed into the living fabric of the universe. The ship turned away. Heading home. Changed forever.